Hey guys, Miles here. I want to show you the basic components that we'll be using to get into some more advanced modeling here. So we're used to working in object mode. We create an object like a polygon primitive here, and then all we've been doing is copying that object, moving it around, and that's about it. But what I want to show you now are some of the components that make up an object and how you can work on those components individually. So the first thing I'm going to show you is if you right-click and hold down on an object, you pull up the marking menu, and this shows you the different components that you have that make up this object. So I'm going to go to Vertex, which will be our first one that we'll work with. And these give you these beautiful little purplish pink points, magenta, that you can select and then move around individually. Or you can grab a group of them and move those around. Or you can scale them. And these are just using your QWERTY tools, over here. Move, rotate, you can rotate them. Add twists, and so forth. So that's the way Vertex vertices work. And the next one would be if we go to edge, and an edge is simply going to be selecting basically two vertices at once. So you can move that around, pick a different edge, move that around. You can pick, holding down the shift key, you can have two edges at once, and pick all four of those, rotate that around like that. So those are our edges. And then the third one would be faces down here. And faces are basically four edges, so I select that face and I can move that out. I select this face, I can move this, rotate it, scale it. And so we can work on these components of an object, which enable us to get much more control over what our object looks like. And these component controls are really going to be the major controls we're using in all of our more advanced modeling. Now, one thing that I use, instead of, sometimes I use maybe about 50-50, using the marking menus here. It's kind of cool. But the other thing that I'll use a lot are the keyboard shortcuts. The keyboard shortcuts are F9 for points, F10 for edges, and F11 for faces. And so I'll use those keyboard shortcuts quite a bit. And then F8 brings us back to object mode and toggles you back between object mode and your last component mode. So my last component mode was faces, so I go back and forth between object, and then F8, I'm back to faces. If I hit F10 for edge, and I hit F8, I'm back to object mode, the whole thing. And then if I hit F8 again, I'm back to edges. So I use those shortcuts a lot. So that's a quick introduction to the components that we're going to be using to edit in Maya. Oh, and then also, this causes me no end of confusion up here, but just to point it out, this button up here is the object mode button, and then this is the sub-object or component button, and these are the choices you have here, but good luck figuring out what all these things mean. They always drive me crazy. But that doesn't mean they have to drive you crazy. So there you go. In the next video, I'm going to introduce you quickly to another form of components called UVs and how that works with applying different types of materials to an object.